Thanks, sir. Pleasure. Again, it's a pleasure to be with you once again. It's always, I'm very humbled by your support that you offer and continue to offer us at the state. But as stated, things really are going well. I think when we hear so much about in Georgia how great the economy is. The number one state to do business, I think now for 6 years running. But if you look at the next sector that has seen probably the most improvement, the most innovation, the most aggressiveness to make sure we're doing the right thing, that's education. And I can say because of the things that we have been able to accomplish. I do not, take credit for myself because this is something that we are doing across the state together. And as we look at where we are and where we've been, the highest graduation rate that we've ever had in our state's history. During the time that I've been in office, we've seen that grow, up by almost 10%. It is my anticipation that we will meet or exceed the national average by 2020. I firmly know that we can be, as a state, a group in a state that has a graduation rate at 90%. That I believe and know for a fact that can be very doable. And it's not just giving people diplomas, but it means having something that is very successful and meaningful for us. We're seeing that already take place. As we look at that, if you look at groups who are really exceeding this area, if you take just one advanced placement or AP course in Georgia, 98% graduation rate. Probably the one that I'm really, really excited about, because this comes home to me as a military child. If you are a military child in the state of Georgia, 97% graduation rate. Okay, and that's for kids that are moving around, doing some things that they, in the course with moms and dads being deployed at a record rate, a lot of upheaval, but yet they're succeeding. But that's because we are supporting those kids as well. We're doing a lot with our military to make sure that those families are stable and that we are supporting them. If you are in a career tech program, I think as the Congressman mentioned, I am not a one-size-fits-all person. I started my post-secondary at what we used to call VOTech school, today are technical colleges. But if you're a part of that group, that's a 96% graduation rate for those folks. And that's because what we're doing at the Department of Education and throughout the state is that we're getting our kids ready for life and not a test. Now, we are not about a test. A test is something we do, but it is not the thing we do. And I think having that focus on our children has been so instrumental of really changing that dynamic, because that's the dynamic that I grew up with, and somehow we bought into this around 2000. We said every child had to go to a 4-year university. Every child, and what we were measured our success was about a test. And one of the reasons that I ran for this race was because we really put the word child and threw it outside the door. But we're about children. We're about relationships. You think about who is your favorite teacher that you knew, or teachers. Now, I don't know that person, but what I can guarantee is that person had a relationship with you. That's the importance. That's what teachers do. And once we get to know our kids, and we can reach our kids and we can teach our kids. And so that's the transformation that we continue to see. In the early grades, K through 5, we're doing a tremendous job in raising that level, especially putting our focus on reading. Reading is the most important skill that I think we transfer to our young people. And we are investing in that. Georgia actually received the highest grant award of any state, roughly $61 million. Only one of 11 states that actually got a grant twice. And that was because of the strength of our reading program. So we're investing in that front end, because I'm a high school teacher. And I know if we do not invest in that front end, we see it in the back end. That's something that I know for a fact. So that's where our commitment is, making sure that we have the ability to make those changes, but looking at math and reading, especially in that front end. This kind of lets, some people ask me where we at with Common Core. We still have Common Core in English Language Arts. We still have it in math. That is where the state board and I completely differ. They differed when I came on board. I wanted to make that change. They voted, basically they just changed the name of the standards. We did stop it with science and social studies. But I can guarantee you this gentleman back here that's on this sign, Brian Kemp, already had the pledge. If he is our governor, then we get rid of Common Core in the state of Georgia. Okay? So that is why I'm so important that I've got to have a governor who will work with me and not against me. That's right. Because this is the individual that also, guess what? We talked about appointments. Well, guess who he appoints? State school board members. Okay. So this is why I've got to have an individual that will back and support. And to be honest, you know, he was the only candidate that spoke and just sat down and had a chat with me during the primary and during the runoff. He wasn't telling me, Richard, you know, this is what I want to do, but he asked me, what do you see? You know, he was asking my thoughts and opinion. And that's so important. And I know for a fact if Brian's in there, that means that you'll have a superintendent that can do his job. And that's all I'm asking. Give me 4 years and we'll make sure that we're doing the right thing as we continue to do the right thing in the state of Georgia. But we look at this, we're expanding our opportunities for our children. STEM and STEAM education, that science, technology, engineering, and math, so important because those are the jobs that our young people are going to inherit. And we are investing in that. Roughly right now we have about 1,000 schools waiting to become STEM and STEAM certified. And that's important because that's almost half the schools in the state of Georgia. But if you see education with that, it's so good because it means that our schools are collaborating and working together with our parents. But also one of the exciting things is that we're inviting business to come in and be a part of the education process. To listen to them at the local level and say, how do we support what goes on in our communities? And as we continue to do that, fine arts is something that's extremely important. And I'm a believer in band, music, dance, drama. Even though I'm an old coach, I appreciate these individuals because I could have been an art teacher, to be honest. But I went into social studies. But I do know that these are individuals and these programs open up a lot of critical thinking, the higher order thinking skills that our kids need to succeed. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the latest figure I saw with Georgia Tech, I think about 40% of those kids that either graduate or attend Tech have a band background. Okay. And that tells me a little bit, okay? And you think about the strength there. Of course, I could see being an engineering school, when you talk about 4-4 time, you're talking about fractions and math, okay? That's something that they understand. And so that's so important while we give these young people that opportunity, an opportunity to succeed in Georgia. The entertainment industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry in the state of Georgia. And this allows these young people to grasp something that they enjoy, not to see it as a job, but as a career I love, and pursue that. And of course, you know, within this area, we're talking Pinewood Studios and things of nature that we continue to do and support throughout the state. But also as we look at this, we're listening to business and communities that say, what can we do to help you create courses that you need? Because we want to support the communities. The Department of Education, you know, when I came in was a compliance and consequence organization. But I said, no, we're public servants. We serve the people because we serve our local schools because this is where it's happened. And so we are now, you know, listening and we're getting, you know, feedback from individuals and districts to say we would like to have courses that align to this business and industry. Well, in Elbert County, they have a granite mining industry. Well, we have courses where kids actually have an internship and can work in the granite industry and get credit. Okay, down in Houston County, we have a little group called Frito-Lay. Well, they needed industrial maintenance. Well, we have courses now that support what goes on up here or down there. With Pinewood Studio, we've listened to, you know, to individuals as far as the coursework that they need to have with individuals working in the film. But we've even extended that so that we can be proactive, where now we are actually having courses where people can actually be on the front end and start writing scripts. And that's something that we sat down and listened with business and industry. Over in Augusta, Cyber Command. Well, now we have courses that support cybersecurity and allow our kids to get involved with that. You know, so that's the exciting thing that we see, multiple changes. You know, our career tech program, you know, now this is not Grandpa's old shop class anymore, but these are classes that lead to great paying jobs, great opportunity in the state. You know, for me, yes, I have a couple of degrees, but as I shared, Votech was initially my first love, you know. And I know the power of that because my wife, Leisha, she's with me today, and appreciate her being here. I mean, this past winter we had to get our air conditioner replaced. I didn't call my college professor to get that replaced, okay? I had to call somebody else a little more skilled. I know how much I paid that man to put that stuff in, and it was quite good. But you can see that these are great paying jobs and opportunities for our kids. We've expanded that to where it's no longer a one size fits all. Our kids now, thanks to the legislature, have the ability to actually have a true internship. And so now our kids are actually working in business, and business is beginning to grab into that. Down in Columbus, we have a little group called, I think, Pratt Whitley, and they make jet airplane engines. Well, it may be alarming to some of you, but we have high school students that are making jet airplane engines, okay, down there. But what Pratt is doing is said, listen, you come with us and we're going to invest in you. We're going to pay you. So these kids are getting about $12 to $15 an hour. A lot better than I got when I was, working for minimum wage. But what they're saying as well is that we will send you to school, pay for your schooling, and come back. And that's a pretty good deal. So we're expanding those opportunities for our young people and becoming a very diverse, state. And I think that's where we need to. Ag, I'm a big supporter of that. That's down home where I'm from in South Georgia. And so we continue to see great growth there. As we look at expanding and continue to give our opportunities, I really want to emphasize getting our kids ready for life. One of the most important classes that I think we were able to institute for this school year is that now we have a personal finance class that is available to all our students. Outside of reading, I probably think personal finance is one, if not the class that we need to have for our young people, to teach them how to manage money, to become good stewards of their finances. Because when you look at the average debt of our young people when they get out of high school and go into higher ed within Georgia, that's $28,000. Well, with that $28,000, what I tell people about the time they graduate higher ed in whatever form or get their job going, they like to put one of these little gold bands on. And when that person says, I do, they also give you an IOU for $28,000. So that means collectively you're $56,000 in debt. And so this is why it's important to make sure that you know how to manage and go, take the proper steps so you don't get into debt. But I think within Georgia we do a couple of things. We have dual enrollment right now. Dual enrollment means that our kids are earning college credit, whether at a technical school or a four-year university. It is paid for. It's not something we are adding on, but it's giving them, that ability to have 2 years of college credit, paid for. And I think that's a smart way to do education because it's giving them a glimpse at what real life looks like, what higher ed is looking like. Well, because now we have many kids that are not only receiving a high school diploma, but they also getting a 2-year degree as they walk across the stage in Georgia. But when you put the Hope Scholarship on top of that, that means you can have your entire 4-year degree completely paid for. So that $56,000 that we talked about is now completely gone. Another thing that I'm very strong and a very strong supporter of being a history teacher is I believe in teaching American history. We've expanded our exposure to American history in the K-5 area. It is my goal to expand American history to a 2-year course offering in high school. That's what I would love to see. In conjunction, we will continue to teach government and economics and that, but like I said, I hope we see that personal finance being either or for a lot of our kids. In fact, right now we are mailing out pocket constitutions throughout the state to our fourth graders. Fourth grade is where they first see the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. So within that pocket constitution, they see not only the U.S. Constitution, they see the Declaration of Independence, they see the pledge to the flag, and they see the Star-Spangled Banner, but not only just what we sing as our national anthem, but everything that Francis Scott Key actually penned. So you can see the full richness of what we're about. But as I kind of close down, this is where I'm going to kind of shift to why this election is important. As I've already mentioned, I need a governor I can work with, and that's Brian Kemp. But this is something that during the primary, when I was running, there were 100,000 Republicans that did not vote for this seat. Okay, there was 100,000 people that just pushed it off to the side. For my friend Gary Black, our ag commissioner, I think there were roughly 125,000 people that did not vote for him. That's a lot of votes. And so that's important that as we vote and as we talk, yes, it's great to have a good governor, but you got to have a support team that goes with that. And this would be like saying we have a great quarterback, but we have no offensive line. Okay? And I'll guarantee you, as a football player, and who used to practice with basically no front line in front of me, right? And being a running back, I felt like I had the biggest bullseye that I could ever put on the back of my back, and that hurt. So this is why we've got to have up and down the ticket. And I like to kind of remind people, kind of using my name, and you can kind of use this as you want, that when you step in that ballot box and you vote, you want to go all the way to the woods, okay? All right. But you don't want to stop at the woods, you want to go through the woods as well, because there are other candidates that keep going on, and there are actually, you'll go down and you'll see the amendments. Those are just as important for everything we vote for. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Please get out there, join us on Facebook or website. We have some literature that's out there. We have plenty of signs. We have some here and we have some back in the office area. These signs do not do any good sitting inside this room, okay? I'll be honest. They don't do us a bit of good in here, because I feel pretty confident that we're all going to vote, and we're going to vote the right way, but we got to get other folks out, because this is what we needed. Right now within the state of Georgia, even with our primary election, we only had 20% of the eligible voters vote. It's not that we can say that we don't have the right message. We have the right message. Because what people have shared with me, when you take the Democratic platform and you take the Republican platform and you erase the party name at the top, the vast majority of people say, I like that. And once you flip it over, they find, wow, I have a lot more in common with Republicans than I ever thought I did. We know we have the correct message. We just have to get out there. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but this is just something, as like I said, we just got to get motivated and we got to seal the deal. Now, my schedule looks pretty rough, and I may crawl across the finish line, but I'm going to crawl across the finish line. So, right. But it sure would be nice to have a lot more folks crawling across it with me, and so I appreciate your help. But again, it's been your pleasure and my honor to really be your state school superintendent. I do not take this for light, because this is something that I know that I give the Lord praise for this opportunity, first and foremost. But we have 1.8 million children that we have to look and support, and that's what this is about, is our children.